Hey everybody, today it's all about victory part 2, and we're talking about victory over problems, and I really like this message. I like these points. I love the key passage, and I would encourage you to read Matthew 14 verses 22 to 33, and this is one of the most famous passages in the Gospels, and it's where Jesus walks on water. So you'll want to read that. And just to kind of set up that passage, this is sort of John the Baptist dies, then Jesus feeds the 5,000, which is really more like 10 or 15,000 when you include men and women, or women and children in that count. Jesus is exhausted. He needs time to get away by himself and just pray, and the disciples go out in the boat. And then you'll see in the passage, Jesus walks on water. Peter responds in faith. And, of course, none of us are walking on water on a regular basis or ever, but we are walking through the circumstances of life. And so if we could just kind of learn to respond in faith the way Peter does, we will begin to experience God in a way that helps us with our problems. So I would encourage you to read Matthew 14, 22 to 33, and it's an excellent way to start the points today. We all have problems, don't we? We'll see this in the scriptures. It's not a matter of if something goes wrong or if a problem or troubles come up, but when they do. And we can either walk around being defeated by these problems and troubles, or we can experience victory, which is really miraculous. So first point on the outline, number one, my problems are never too big for God. And we see a verse from Jeremiah here, chapter 32, verse 27. I am the Lord, the God of all the peoples of the world. Is anything too hard for me? And what a great reminder that we have a God who can handle everything. And God is with us. He gives us the power to accomplish His will in whatever problems come our way. And that's encouraging. It's almost like, have you ever had a big brother or maybe a parent or someone in your life who could be your protector? I remember once when I was just a kid, back in the days when the kids went out and just played out in the neighborhood all day long, went out into the woods, just hung out all day long. And then when it was dinner time, your mom would call you in. But I remember once being out in the street playing, and a bully approached me. And I got into a conflict with a bully. And who comes out my front door? My mom. She comes running out that front door, and she got rid of that bully for me. And so thank you, Mom. Turns out I wasn't just out there with no one watching me or keeping an eye on me. My mom was keeping an eye on me, and she was a person who was ready to help me with a problem. And so is our God. He's there ready to help us with our problems, not just so that we don't have any problems, but so that He can help us accomplish His will in every circumstance of our lives. So my problems are never too big for God. And then number two, my problems are used by God for my growth. Wow. If I could just wrap my mind around that. My problems are used by God for my growth. And James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4, dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, so not if they happen, but when they happen, we can expect troubles. When they come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. How often do we give up on God because we're experiencing troubles? And We give up before we're able to grow through that, or before we're able to experience a blessing through that trouble. And interesting, some of the words in here. These troubles can be an opportunity for great joy. Great joy. Now, does that mean happiness? Are we just happy and thrilled that we're going through problems or having troubles? No, joy is something different. Joy is a choice we can make to experience peace throughout a difficult time. When we lean on God and lean into God and trust Him, and when we open ourselves up to the growth that we can experience when troubles come. One of the things that helps me is just hindsight. I may be in the middle of a problem right now, and I'm not really all into like how it's helping me to grow. I'm just discouraged or frustrated by the problem. But if I look back and I can see, well, you know what? I've experienced problems in the past, and now that I've had some distance from those problems and those circumstances, I can see that that was an opportunity for me to grow, and that I did grow, and that I experienced God in deeper ways. So my problems are used by God for my growth. Number 3, my problems are a must for a miracle. My problems are a must for a miracle. It's a great way to put it. I mean, we don't really need miracles if nothing's wrong. If everything's perfect in life, why do we need a miracle? But we have troubles and trials. Of course we do. And those are opportunities for miracles. Mark 10:51-52. So Jesus answered and said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said to him, "Rabboni, that I might receive my sight." Then Jesus said to him, "Go your way, your faith has made you well." And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus on the road. And so who are we talking about here? A blind beggar named Bartimaeus. And I don't know if Bartimaeus was Italian, because he doesn't say rabbi when addressing Jesus. He says, Rabboni. Sounds very Italian to me. But the point is that Bartimaeus was this blind guy. He sees Jesus walking by, and he's bold enough to call out to Jesus, to keep yelling out to Jesus, "Jesus, Jesus, come help me out." And Jesus says, "What can I do for you?" And the blind man says, "You can give me sight." And Jesus says, "Go your way, your faith has made you well." Immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus on the road. A miracle happened there because of this blind man's boldness and his willingness to, in the midst of a problem, blindness, to call out to Jesus in a bold way and to put his faith in Jesus, that Jesus could help him and heal him. So we can even experience miracles in the problems that we face in life. And then the last one, my problems will be a reason to praise God. Like I mentioned earlier, you're in the midst of a problem or a trouble right now. Sometimes the last thing you feel like doing is praising God. And yet, they can be a reason to praise God. Look at Romans 8:28. We know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. And so not everything that happens is good, but God can turn these problems and trials into something for good, to fulfill his purpose in our lives, to fulfill his purpose in this circumstance that's difficult. And that phrase, "for those who love God," interesting, this is a promise that's really not necessarily for everything. God will work all things together for good, not just for everybody, but for those who love God. Why is that? Because for those who love God have a new perspective. For those who love God, we recognize that relationship with God is our priority. Relationship with God is the point. And so our priority is no longer, how to get more powerful or more prestige or to get more riches or more popular. Our priority is our relationship with God. And so therefore, all those things that we're struggling with, we can allow him to work those for good so that it'll help us grow in that relationship with God. So we don't have to be defeated in our problems, in our troubles, in our circumstances, but we can experience victory in our circumstances. And I would just challenge us to use this message as an opportunity to kind of ramp up our prayer life and get real specific about prayer. Because, of course, when we face problems in difficult circumstances, or when we know people who are facing problems in difficult circumstances, prayer is a powerful weapon we can use in the midst of those difficult times. So, how about this? If you are able to come to church this Sunday, April 7th, and you come this Sunday with a problem,
it'll be shown after.
It'll be shown after. So, just whenever, yeah. Next time you are at church, at community, I personally would love to pray for you. We have response cards in the bulletins that offer a place where you can write down a prayer request and come to church and get involved in prayer. Whether you use the response card or approach me or another pastor, we'd love to pray with you or someone you know who's experiencing a problem, so that we can see victory in the midst of that difficulty.